Today's video is all about the pros and the cons of living in Burnaby, BC. Now, Burnaby is a suburb of Vancouver directly to the east of the city of Vancouver. It's the third largest city in the Metro Vancouver region behind the city of Vancouver and the city of Surrey. So it's very popular for very good reason, but it's not entirely perfect. It does have drawbacks. And that's what we're gonna get into in this video. We're not just gonna sit here in the studio and talk about it though. I'm gonna get out into the field and show you exactly what I'm talking about. Let's get into the pros and the cons of living in Burnaby, BC right now. Pro number one for Burnaby has to be nature. It's one of my favorite things about Burnaby. The park system in Burnaby is absolutely phenomenal. And in fact, it has one of the highest ratios of parkland to residents in all of North America. I think that's something that most people don't realize, but it includes amazing, incredibly enormous parks such as Burnaby Mountain, Central Park, Deer Lake Park, and Burnaby Lake. So it's incredibly well serviced by a park system, but it's also very central in nature in all of Metro Vancouver. So it's very easy to access the ocean, the mountains, neighboring parks in neighboring cities. Nature is definitely one of the biggest pros of living in Burnaby. Pro number two of living in Burnaby is the transportation system, specifically public transit and the SkyTrain network. There's actually two SkyTrain lines that run through the city of Burnaby. The Millennium line, which is right in behind me right now, that is the newer line and runs along Low Heat Highway. And then there's also the Expo line that runs along the Kingsway corridor. Both those run right through Burnaby. So there's 11 stations in the city of Burnaby, very well serviced for a city of just 270,000 people. And it makes living in Burnaby very convenient, very easy to get around throughout the entire Metro Vancouver area. But especially if you want to commute downtown, being right next door, taking that SkyTrain that's running right behind me right now, downtown is incredibly simple and incredibly easy. And a lot of people that live in Burnaby love that convenience and make full use of it. And I would too if I lived in Burnaby. So pro number three for living in Burnaby would be its central location. And it really is basically at the middle of Metro Vancouver. And it's made getting around Vancouver so easy. And I find the people who really value living in Burnaby typically are families or couples where one person might work in Vancouver, another in North Vancouver, somebody else in New Westminster. And being centrally located becomes really, really important. Or they just like the ability to be able to jump on the highway and get out of the city, up into the mountains, or into the downtown core, all sort of equidistant from one another. And being centrally located is really a huge advantage and a reason that Burnaby is such a wonderful place to live. Incidentally, if you are thinking of making Burnaby your home, be sure to reach out. My contact information is right there on the screen. I've helped hundreds of families move to Metro Vancouver over my 16-year career, and I'd love to help you too. It can all begin with a conversation. Again, reach out anytime and we can get that ball rolling. Now let's get back to the video. Pro number four is shopping. And Burnaby has an abundance of shopping malls. There's three huge shopping malls: Brentwood, Lougheed, and Metrotown. Right now I'm at what they're calling the Amazing Brentwood. I kind of hate that name personally, so I just call it Brentwood Mall. But all three of these malls are being rebuilt and revitalized. Brand new stores, lots of places to spend money. And in fact, Metrotown is BC's largest mall and the second largest next to West Edmonton Mall in all of Canada. If you want to spend money, if you love going shopping, you can have a lot of opportunity to do that in Burnaby. And pro number five for Burnaby would be its school system, and it really, really is phenomenal. Right now, I'm up at Simon Fraser University. It's the highest point in Burnaby on Burnaby Mountain. This is just an absolutely beautiful campus. This is also known as one of the best universities, one of the best comprehensive universities in Canada. There's 30,000 students that attend Simon Fraser University. And aside from Simon Fraser, there's also BCIT, which has 50,000 students. And that's more of a trade school in Burnaby. People come from all around the region to attend BCIT as well. On top of those two post-secondary education institutions, the public school system is exceptional in Burnaby, as it is in all of the suburbs and in Vancouver as well. But there are 41 elementary schools and 8 secondary schools, so it's very well served by the public school system along with private schools. You have endless options for education, and the school system is definitely one of the top pros of living in Burnaby. One of the biggest cons of living in Burnaby would be the traffic. Right now it's 2:30 in the afternoon, and honestly, the traffic's not so bad. In fact, There's no cars on the road right in front of me right now. But if you live in Burnaby, traffic is definitely one of the biggest cons. Lots of people who live in Burnaby complain about the traffic. It's a bit of a, because it's central, because it's suburban, lots of people are crossing through Burnaby to get from one place to another. And the people that are in Burnaby generally need to rely on their cars to get places. So more car-centric than most places in Metro Vancouver, definitely more car-centric than the city of Vancouver. You will be spending time in your car unless, as what's right above me is the SkyTrain line, and one of the pros being able to rely on the SkyTrain. But if you can't, if you're not on the route, you're gonna have to spend a lot of time in your car, and hopefully you have a nice car and you enjoy driving. Traffic is definitely one of the cons of living in Burnaby. Con number 2 for Burnaby would be the cost of housing. And that's really gonna be the case for most of Metro Vancouver, most of the suburbs in the city itself. It is an expensive place both to own and to rent, but Burnaby is more affordable than the city of Vancouver. Individual single family homes, like the ones that you see behind me, Burnaby, a typical one goes for about 2.1 million versus the city of Vancouver at 2.655 million. Now, this is September 2023 that I'm taking these figures from, by the way. In terms of townhouses, it's 960,000 versus 1,334,000 in the city of Vancouver. So both for houses and townhouses, it's about 30% less to own in Burnaby than it is in the city of Vancouver. Condos are much closer. A typical condo in Burnaby is 812,000 versus 786,000 in Vancouver. About 5% you'll find for the difference being between Burnaby and Vancouver for condos. For rent, it's also about 10 to 20% less expensive to be in Burnaby versus Vancouver. A single bedroom, one bedroom is about $2,450 in Burnaby. It's about $2,831 in Vancouver. Two bedrooms, $3,168 in Burnaby, $3,670 in Vancouver. And three bedrooms, bigger difference here. It's about 10% different. But in Burnaby, it's $3,860. And in Vancouver, it's $4,813. So you're gonna be able to save some money by living in Burnaby, but it is still relatively expensive in comparison to the rest of Canada. Cost of housing is definitely a con when it comes to living in Burnaby. Hey, real quick, if you're getting any kind of value out of this video, hit that like button down below. Hit subscribe if you'd like to see more of me, as I do put out videos just like this one about living in or moving to the Metro Vancouver area every single week. And comment down below if you want to know more about Burnaby. I'd love to hear from you. Now let's get back to the video. So one more con of living in Burnaby, and I have to admit this could be a pro for some people depending on what you enjoy and where you're coming from, but it would be the snow. Burnaby definitely gets a lot more snow than Vancouver, and it depends on what part of Burnaby, what part of Vancouver you're comparing to. But in general, you can expect about double the amount of snow in Burnaby than you get in Vancouver. And predominantly, the reason for that is that there's a lot more elevation to most of Burnaby. It's a lot hillier. You can see, actually, I just kind of walked past it, but in the far distance there, you can see the city of Vancouver, and you can see how much higher we are at the moment. I am on Burnaby Mountain, which is the highest point in Burnaby. It does give you an idea of just how much higher we are than so much of Vancouver. And the result is that you get a lot more snow. And I know myself as a kid, I would have loved that. I would have loved to have double the amount of snow so I could make snowmen and play in the snow and have actual school snow days where I didn't have to go to school. But not everybody's going to enjoy that, of course. So for me now as an adult, I'm putting that in the con camp. Snow. Con number 4 for Burnaby would be that it's just not walkable. It's very spread out. There's no actual downtown to the city of Burnaby, as it was developed basically as a suburb of Vancouver. It used to be a farming community that supported the settlements in Vancouver and in New Westminster. Slowly, as populations boomed, became a bedroom community to the downtown cores of New Westminster and the city of Vancouver. As a result, it was never designed to be walkable, and everything is spread out. Everything is bigger. The lots are bigger, the houses are bigger, and you'll find that there's no center to it. They are developing in the last few years town centers, they're calling them. So around Metrotown, where we are right now, around Brentwood, around Lougheed, and around Edmonds. Those are the 4 centers for Burnaby. And if you live right in them or close to them, then yes, it is considerably more walkable than the rest of Burnaby. But as a whole, Burnaby is not a walkable city. Its average walk score is just 60. So Not great. You're going to find yourself much more car dependent when you're living in the city of Burnaby. Con number 5 for Burnaby would be that it is a suburb. And what that means is there's not a lot of nightlife. There's not a lot going on. It is quiet. Things shut down early. And if you want, a vibrant, energetic place to live, Burnaby generally isn't going to be it. It's on the outskirts of where you can find it. But in Burnaby itself, you're going to have a really hard time finding that at all. There are excellent restaurants in Burnaby, but there's not a lot going on after 7, 8, 9 p.m. You're going to have to venture out to Vancouver to find that. So nightlife, definitely not something that's happening in Burnaby. So there we have the pros and the cons of living in Burnaby. If you got value out of this video, hit that like button and smash the subscribe button if you want to see more videos from me, as I do put out videos just like this one about moving to and living in the Vancouver region every single week. And if you are thinking of moving here and purchasing a property, I am a real estate agent that's helped hundreds of people move to the Vancouver region over my 16-year career. My contact information is right here on the screen. Reach out anytime and we can get that conversation started about your move to Vancouver. In the meantime, be sure to check out all of my dozens of other videos that I've made about moving to and living in Vancouver. Here's a couple that I think you're really gonna like. This one over here is all about moving to and living in Coquitlam, BC. And then this one over here is a video that I just did recently that I think is gonna be right up your alley. Thank you so much for sticking to this video all the way to the end. I really do appreciate it, and I hope to see you on next week's video.